Alright folks, welcome back to another guitar tips video, and we're going to go into a little bit more depth on chord voicing. So if you haven't checked out the intro to voicings video for guitar tips, give that a look, and that might help you get started. I'm going to talk a little bit more about voicings and the importance of understanding the voicings and the layout on the guitar and how it really helps your playing. It also really helps you recognizing chord shapes when other people play them, and so you can kind of learn from other people pretty easily as well. So we'll start with like a real stock open chord. We'll start with C, and so most people probably know this C major chord, but most people don't necessarily think about how the chord is voiced. And so last time, a little recap on voicing is how the notes are stacked vertically. And this, if you haven't learned your major scales yet and understanding major scales and how scale degrees work, you might want to do that first. That's a really helpful tool, and I'll probably do a major scales video at some point as well. But you want to get into your major scales so you understand the things that I'm about to tell you in this little guitar tip video. So this is a stock C major chord, and the notes that we have are C, E, G, C, and then an E at the top with the high E string. But more importantly, the way it's voiced is 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. And so we have some doubling in here. We have 2 1s, 2 roots, and 2 3s, and 1 5. Now this voicing is the same as this voicing if we move it up to the key of D in this case. So it goes 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. And it's the same if we move it to the key of E or E flat. 1, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. Just like that. And so this gets really helpful for understanding how your chords are voiced, and you can move them into different keys pretty easily if you know the notes on your neck, which is something that you all should start practicing. At least the 6th and the 5th string, you should start really learning the notes, because this is where you can place your bar chords, different chord shapes. A lot of them have 6th string root and 5th string root voicings, especially when you're starting out. And it's really helpful to know where you're placing these notes. When it comes to guitar, though, we should take advantage of the visual nature of guitar, which helps with understanding things in respect to the numbers or the scale degrees. So like understanding that this is a 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, the way the chord is voiced, that's how the notes are stacked as they're going up vertically. 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, just like this one. We're just changing the key. Those are all the same chord, just changing the key. It's a nice thing that guitar has that like piano doesn't, that you have to kind of change your shapes for the same chord voicing but in different keys. Guitar is kind of opposite. You have the same chord shape, but you change your position. Anyways, so if we wanted to take this chord and alter it, we can do so pretty easily if we understand our major scale in this area, and we know how this is voiced. So we talked about doublings in the last video and how you can get rid of some notes to start adding other pitches to make it a little bit more complex. So in this chord, what I can add is I have 2 1s. I definitely don't need 2 1s, and it's typically good practice to keep the lower version of the 1. If you have a doubling, like 1, note 1 here and note 1 there, it's good to keep the lower one typically in your chord voicing. So we can change this higher one over here, and I know that note 2 is right here, and that's not far off from where my pinky is, so it's pretty easy to grab. So if I go 1, 3, 5, 2, and 3, now it's totally different color of a chord. Same chord, but with added colorations, or sometimes we call those extensions, which has a very different ring to it than that one. Very nice. It's got some notes that clash in a good way. And we can go opposite with this as well. We can take this note 1 and go backwards 1 note, which would be the open string in this case, and that would add a 7. So we'd have 1, 3, 5, 7, and that would create what most people know as a major 7 chord. But we could take that major 7 voicing and move it 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, and we can move it anywhere. Same with this one, which goes 1, 3, 5, 2, 3, which we'll talk about that one in a second. You can move it there, move it there, and then so you can start taking these chord shapes and moving them to different parts of the neck and utilize them. Especially if you know what they do, what they sound like, and what they're called, you can utilize them in different types of musics. So this is a fun thing to do, and before I get too in depth with voicings, first thing to do is just start relating the chords tones to your major scale. And I'll probably do a major scale video after this, because that's a really helpful thing to understand when you're building these chords, and then we'll get more into chord voicings and deeper understanding of chord voicings in another guitar tips video, because I like to try to keep these short and palatable. Anytime you learn something from one of these videos, for one, I'm happy that you learned something, that's great, but take that one little nugget of information and go apply it to your instrument, go apply it to the guitar before watching 1,500 of these videos. I don't know how many of these I'm going to make, but if you learn something new, go apply it right away. Go try to put it into practice. Don't watch 10 of these videos and then try to put them all to practice. That's not going to help you in the long run. Do it little by little. Learn something, little chunk, go put it to your instrument and fool around with it, improvise with it, get used to the colors and the tones that you're making on your instrument so that you really have a good command of what you're doing on your instrument so you can make some good music that is unique to you. Alright, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see y'all on the next one.